On today's episode of Snowball Loses His Fucking Shit, we're going to be reviewing this beautiful Lego flower no, I am just kidding. What we'll be doing is we're going to have an empty cup of tea, a mouse, a gamepad, and fucking Hi-Fi Rush running on my phone. Now, don't get this mistaken. This is not Hi-Fi Rush being streamed to my phone. This is Hi-Fi Rush running on my phone. I would like to introduce you to Valve's recent investment, or I guess vested interest in making some shit. And making some shit happen for the better of all of us. You might have been hearing something floating around recently called FEX. FEX is a translation layer from x86 to ARM. And on top of that, ARM has also been working on an Android implementation, or more specifically, an ARM implementation of a Proton to attempt to translate things to GPU for the phones as well. Yeah, Valve has been pumping in resources into this thing, which means that this is a Steam version of Hi-Fi Rush running natively on my smartphone, overheating the shit out of it at the moment. You're looking at it. It just launched and worked. And I can hear audio from it. And what you might have experienced with emulators in the past is stuttery or like crackly audio. None of that. It just works. There is stutter whenever the game freezes, obviously, but that's because the game freezes. That would happen on your regular desktop PC. But for the time being, let's watch the absolute gory mess of stutter that no shader caching is. And you can see a little bit of issues here and there. This is actually the first time I've seen that issue specifically. So something with the shaders didn't load properly this time. But that's okay. But you're also seeing it smooth out as shaders start getting loaded. And we'll do a little walk around. But while we wait for the game to unfreeze and recompile its idea of shaders, there we go. Let's talk about why this is so freaking good. This is currently running at like 7 watts of TDP. And we can disconnect my charger and we'll actually be able to see that in action just down here in purple. As you can see, we'll look around real quick to like load the entire environment in. But we're sitting at around 20-25 FPS, and this game is kind of playable, isn't it? This doesn't look bad. I'm gonna let it sit on this for a second while I rant about why this is so freaking cool. So, what runs ARM? What runs on the ARM manufacturing process for CPUs and GPUs? Android, iOS, Apple Silicon on the desktops and the laptops. A lot of gaming handhelds, that have come out recently for emulation of like NES and stuff like that. Valve's new headset, the Steam Frame, runs an ARM chip and has been promised to also run light titles that are PC only. And basically, the rest of the world is slowly moving into the category of using ARM, as ARM is significantly cheaper. It has a higher ceiling than x86. And it has a much smaller footprint than x86, which means that you can shove a very small PCB in a very large package, followed by a massive battery. So what if I told you now that there could exist a handheld, and it might be a relatively expensive handheld at first, let's say $1,000, that has a beautiful screen like on this phone, that has a really high refresh rate, that can run all of your PC indie titles like Call of the Lamb, like Gris, like Hades at 60 FPS, and you can take it anywhere, and it has, let's say, 10 hours of battery life of you playing almost any game in your Steam library. Now, what if I told you that this is already possible and manufacturers probably already know about this and are working on a handheld like this? What if I told you that last gen chipsets will run just as well as the years go by? What if these manufacturers decide to, I don't know, use what's currently in my phone as the chipset platform 5 years later? The price goes down, doesn't it? Because these chips are now cheap. They're outdated, but they're powerful enough to play video games. And I'll show you the exact case scenario that I personally like for this in a second. But why is nobody like sounding the trumpet about this? This is really, really confusing to me because this is incredible. This is an x86 game from Steam, downloaded from Steam, running on a lot of the Steam's code that is currently playing natively right in front of you. And here, to prove it, right, let's open up my dock. We're going to turn off Wi-Fi. We're going to go into airplane mode. We're going to completely disable everything. This is not being streamed. This is still playing on my phone. And again, airplane mode. Bluetooth isn't powerful enough in order to stream this much data over. It works. It literally just works. And with Hi-Fi Rush, I downloaded it and I had to tweak a couple of settings in order to make the game perform a little better. But for, let's just say you didn't want to play Hi-Fi Rush. And again, we have some of the Steam settings already in here. So this is kind of cool. Not all of them. I'm sure more is to come. But let's say I didn't want to play Hi-Fi Rush. Let's say I wanted to play, I don't know, a 2D platformer like Gris. And apparently I've been signed out. And the reason for it being I am in airplane mode. But I think I've proven my point at this point that yes, I accept the sign in, Jesus. Okay, back to a regular scheduled bullshittery. I think I've proven the point that this is not being streamed in any way, that this is just running natively on my phone. The new Steam Frame is going to be incredible for being able to do this. And the fact that the GPU, it's not a GPU translation layer, it's a CPU instruction translation layer, is even better because now this opens up opportunities for other software to run through this. What about like wine emulation for Photoshop and other applications that don't have um, native Android support as far as like desktop applications? You can run that on ARM now. And hell, if Proton gets any better, you'll be able to run them on Linux natively, like with no issues. But here we are in Gris, and you can see we just pinned ourselves at 60 FPS. We're using 2.7 watts to play, well, a little bit, 3.5 watts to play this game, and it runs perfectly. What do you mean? What do I mean? How is this good? This is perfectly playable. Like, I'm able to do platforming. I'm blown away. I am genuinely blown away that this just works out of the box. It allows me to just download it and install it and play it. And it just translates everything properly. And 60 FPS in Gris. I'm sure if I owned Hades, I'd be able to run Hades at around the same FPS. And I'm planning to tinker with this more. I'm planning to mess around with this more. Because hell, we've got lots of things to mess around with in just Steam settings alone. But on top of that, the emulator that this runs in, which I will show you in a second, and I will also give you a bit of a disclaimer, gives us, let me use the controller for this, gives us a bunch of compatibility options for how we want to run our game. And there you go, our CPU translation layer is FEX. And we can do Vulkan direct text translation, and we can do DirectX 9 through 11 translation. Are you kidding me? And as a matter of fact, this doesn't work at the moment properly. But it can run through Proton on ARM. And then we have a bunch of Steam stuff, like if you want to play your games offline. Are you kidding me? And then we go to my Steam library and we realize the whole library is there. We can choose to install whatever we want. Dave the Diver. Sure, why not? Apparently it's already verified. Get game, install, there you go. Let it install and emulate Dave the Diver on your phone. Add the little fucking ears with a controller to it. You have a handheld in your pocket. And if you spent anywhere near $1,000 on your phone recently, this will just work because you have some of the latest Snapdragon chips in order to power it. This is a OnePlus 13. This is not the most powerful chip that's on the market. It's pretty up there. This is a pretty cranked up Snapdragon chip. But just what the hell? Like, I am genuinely blown away. And I will pause this and then we'll come back to you when Dave the Diver is just downloaded. I'm not going to come off the screen, and we're just going to launch it together and see it work. And then I'll tell you how to get this. All right, whoever is listening, Dave the Diver is just installed. I have not come off of this menu, and we're just going to press play. We're not even going to edit anything. We can see it's downloading the correct things for it, and this game has been verified through their service specifically. So these are the recommended settings for the whatever performance. And again, I'll give you the app and how to download it and how to play around with it by yourself, as well as a little disclaimer in a moment. You can see it downloaded through Steam. It is launching Dave the Diver. It just works. It just, I didn't need to edit anything. I didn't need to do anything. It just ran. With emulation, it has always been a headache and it's always been a stopping point for a lot of people. It's like, I want to emulate games on my computer, but I need to adjust a bunch of settings and I don't understand what they mean. You don't need to do that for this. There you go. It just works. No, Dave the Diver never came out for Linux, I don't think. Dave the Diver never came out for Android. That I know for a fact. And we'll just hit continue, and the controller just works natively. And it's got to load as Dave the Diver. Yes, I'm on chapter 1. Excuse me for having a busy life. And we're going to jump into the ocean for a second here. And we're going to see how this runs. By the way, for you, it's a little bit grainy and a little bit stuttery. For me, it's crystal clear at the resolution that's running right now. I can probably actually scale it to be my entire screen's resolution, which we can test in a second as I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube and sharing it with you guys. But Dave the Diver running at 60 FPS, 4.5 watts of TDP. I can play this for hours on my phone alone, right? Okay, let's go ahead and quit out of this and let's go ahead and quit out of it and let's see if we can change the resolution to be quote unquote ultra wide. Settings. And this one has been verified as compatible by the app, PC settings. And let's go ahead and see if there's some kind of an ultra wide resolution, which in our case would be would it be 1300 by probably 1300 by 600? Yeah, I mean, we can go lower, but we don't want to. We have some overhead here, but let's try this resolution. Let's see how the game handles it. And again, you watch me. Like I hit download on it, and obviously I stopped the recording for a second in order to get the game downloaded, so you didn't have to watch a loading screen and hear me ramble about it. But everything else, real time. No editing, no messing around with settings. Right. Now I don't know if Dave the Diver even actually supports ultra wide as this would be, but we'll find out. We'll sure as hell find out. This is so interesting. This is so like incredibly interesting to me. And again, yes, the resolutions are a little low, but don't forget you're playing on a tiny screen, right? So everything looks perfectly crisp. Let's continue Dave the Diver and let's see if it actually gives us a wider resolution outside the menus. It might not, but we might be able to run Hi-Fi Rush with it. No. Okay. So Dave the Diver will not give us a higher resolution. Let's just make sure in settings that let's take a look at these settings and there's super resolution, display, power rate. Yeah, I don't think Dave the Diver is going to give us. Oh, there we go. Well, that's stretched it, so that's not great. But, you know, you get the point. I think you get the gist of this. And you get the gist of how absolutely insane this is. So let's quit out of it. Yeah, this is so hard to do when I'm not looking directly at the phone. Let's quit out of it and let's show you what this actually is. The app is called Game Hub, and I'll pull it up on the Play Store as well for you. Search Game Hub. Game Hub is created by a Chinese company, which that sketches me out a little bit. Even putting my Steam account in there is a little bit of a weird one, and it's probably not a big deal. The 2 point whatever reviews are for not being able to launch some of their Steam library off of offline, which obviously needs to communicate with Steam servers in order to verify your game. And there is a check mark now that allows you to run games that are verified natively, but you do need an internet connection to at least launch the game, and then you can, close that off. Most of us have an internet connection at all times. I think the people who are complaining are the people who are playing these on handhelds that don't have a SIM card in them and do require an internet connection, which understandable. Maybe that'll get fixed in the future. But you do need to sign into your Steam account, and you can't use a QR code in order to do it. So they are, to a certain extent, licensed with Steam. I don't know if Steam actually vetted them or not, but who knows. But as you can see, if we go to, like, it pulls a lot of information from Steam. If we go to Steam and we go into that, it basically gives us my entire library. Just whatever I want to download and whatever I want to play or attempt. I might try to do GTA 5 here in a little bit and see how that runs on low settings. But like I'm blown away that this even like remotely works. But yeah, just be careful. Don't overdo it. Don't if you're not comfortable with giving your Steam credentials to a Chinese company or even logging in through the QR code with a Chinese company, I would recommend not trying this just yet, but it's on a Play Store. If you have an Android phone from, the last 2 years and you spend around $1,000 on it, you should be able to get this all launched up and try out FEX for yourself and see how it works and see what works and what doesn't. Like Project Cars got certified, but Dark Souls is a little sketchy apparently. And just like with the Steam system, there's a way to see why it's sketchy. But why are you sketchy? Check compatibility. Minimum game needs to be modified. The phone needs to be in the highest performance mode. And device with minimum of 12 gigabytes of RAM is recommended for use. Yeah. So, and it makes it playable. Give this a shot, at the very least, for the cool technology before Steam Frame comes out, because it's only going to get better from here. And honestly, at the end of the day, with the push towards more mobile everything, especially in PC VR space, this is a good sign. This is a really good sign that developers can now create games for both PC and natively just be on Linux and natively be on Android, or natively be on ARM and translate it to ARM. And this is just good for everybody. Valve, the good guy. Gaben genuinely deserves that second yacht he just bought. He does. Hope you find this cool.